So here we are, Tuesday, Wednesday, then everyone votes on Thursday with just that time to go. Postal vote delays are causing chaos as the Royal Mail is accused of failing to deliver ballots before Thursday.
So Royal Mail have been forced to draft in extra staff and scramble resources to ensure that all votes can be counted in time.
It comes as political leaders begin to make their final election pitches. Rishi Sunak trying to win over reform voters. Sir Keir Starmer promising a big majority is best for Britain. Good. Political analyst Leon Emirali now this morning for his take on what's going on. Here we are with 2 days left before the big voting day. Leon, what do you think?
I think it's hotting up, actually. I think we are starting to see things get a little bit closer, and we're hearing about this narrowing of the polls. We were waiting for it. It hasn't happened so far, but there was a poll out yesterday that showed the Conservatives' best ever showing, albeit very short of being anywhere near winning this election. But it is hotting up, and we're at the point in an election campaign where advisors and aides are sweating, and they're sweating because whatever their candidate does or says is going to be fresh in the minds of voters on Thursday. And if there is a mistake, if there is a slip up, it's still all to play for. So very exciting ahead of Thursday.
You think it's very exciting watch Ed Davey bungee jump from the top of a crane? We were just speaking a few minutes ago, and it's just become desperate looking and quite pathetic and quite amateur in many ways, I think, for a man who's, trying to be Prime Minister.
I agree with you, Eamon. I think for Ed Davey in particular, what he's trying to do is win over former Conservative voters, probably the type of voters that don't much like Boris Johnson and his politics and might be looking for something new. But the problem is, for those who see Boris Johnson as a clown, what are they seeing in Ed Davey exactly? He's hardly this sort of serious statesman that we're hoping of our political leaders. I do think it is a little bit too far now. It was fine at the beginning of the election. You need to make a bit of noise. You need to generate the type of imagery that's going to get you media coverage. He's done that, and now it just seems a little bit silly. And I'm not sure serious voters are going to necessarily look at him and think, "Yep, this guy's for me."
I think the point is he often has serious messages behind these stunts, but they're not reported on, and people just see the stunts. Yes. And it just looks he's out having a jolly right round the whole country.
I agree. It undermines the message, I think, but that's just, my observation. Leon, can I ask you about this postal vote problem, this chaos? 90 constituencies are getting complaints, the Telegraph's reporting, from voters that they haven't received their postal ballots yet. Now, we know in some parts of the country, some schools have already broken up. Some people are off on their summer holidays. Lots of people had made plans to cast their vote, aren't able to do so. This is quite a serious problem, isn't it?
I think it's really serious, Isabel. Postal votes make up a big chunk of the electorate these days, and it's not just people who are out of the country, as you say. It could be people who are busy, who are heading off to work or have childcare arrangements, and they need to have a postal vote to make sure their democratic voice is heard. And the fact that there is a mix-up, I think, is really bad news for the Conservatives. And the reason for that is twofold. First of all, most Conservative voters vote via postal vote. That might be because they're older, or it might just be because of the demographic of the Conservative vote. And then second of all, it plays into this narrative that Britain is broken, that nothing works. And wouldn't that be the final nail in the coffin for the Conservatives, that even the voting system, even postal votes, is broken, and therefore that leads to them having a difficult election night. So I think it is bad news. It looks amateur, and it could play into undermining the democratic process if people say, hang on a minute, I didn't get my chance to vote. So I think it is bad news. It's really serious, and the government needs to get a grip on it and make sure that people can vote ahead of Thursday if that's what they need to do.
You could look at it another way, Leon. Not that Britain is broken, but the Royal Mail is broken.
Yeah, and that absolutely is right, Eamon. Ultimately, Royal Mail are responsible for this, but it's just the sense that public services, be they in the private sector or the public sector, just don't seem to be working for anyone right now. And, you know, we've seen these big scandals like the likes of the Post Office scandal. The Royal Mail have been embroiled in their own scandals of late beyond this one. And I do just think it plays into this idea. Our infrastructure in this country needs a reboot, whether that is from the private sector or the public sector. And I think that that's a problem for the Conservatives and for the government. I'm sure Labour will be using that line today.
Just finally, Leon, a prediction from you, how you think Thursday is going to play out, or indeed Friday morning. What do you think is going to be the results? I'm going to make you put your money where your mouth is now.
I was hoping you wouldn't ask me that, Isabel, but I think it's going to be a Labour victory. I think the scale of it that we're hearing in the polls is going to be overplayed, in my view, personally. You can invite me on a Friday and laugh at me because I've got that terribly wrong. I think it's going to be a big victory for Labour. I don't think it's going to be this historic victory that we're seeing currently being pointed to in the polls.
Well, we'd love to see you on Friday, wouldn't we? Thanks very much, Leon. Good to see you this morning. And that's Leon Emirali, political analyst and former special advisor to Steve Barclay.
GB News will be live in Essex on election night. Michelle Dewberry, Patrick Christie's host our GB News exclusive election night coverage.
If you want to be part of the audience in Essex, apply now either by scanning the QR code on screen or by visiting gbnews.com.